Hello YouTube, CousinKinoko here, back with another pickup video, and this time I have a bunch of NTSC Super Nintendo games to show you here, and I also have 3 NES titles, 2 of which are European titles, and they're uncommon as well, and one of them is even a European exclusive. It was not released outside of Europe at all, and the European exclusive is actually playing in the background, or that is, the soundtrack from that game is playing in the background. So if you'd like, you can try and guess which game that is. It's based on a comic, as far as I know. Anyway, I picked all these games up from a local collector here in Oslo, and he gave me a pretty decent price on the games. Basically a bit lower than eBay prices, minus maybe 10-15% off. I got a discount for buying several titles, several games. And I told him that I'm running my NTSC cartridges on a PAL Super Nintendo with a universal adapter, and I know that certain games won't work that way, because in certain games there are special lockout chips inside that can detect if they're being played on a US console. But he told me that if some games don't work, I can return them and get my money back. So that's really nice of him, and definitely a plus when dealing with local sellers. So yeah, let's just go right ahead and I'll show you the games that I picked up. First we have Lagoon, and this was also released in Europe. It's a rare game in Europe, but I suppose it's quite a lot more common in the US. I paid like 5 or 6 euros for this. It's a top-down RPG game. And then we have Doom Troopers, which is a game that was never released in Europe, and this is a side-scrolling shooter, and it plays a bit like Earthworm Jim, I suppose. The backgrounds do look a lot like Earthworm Jim, but the characters are kind of pre-rendered, looks like pre-rendered 3D models. I think a bit of a downside to this game though is that you can only shoot straight, left or right. You cannot shoot diagonal or up. But it has beautiful graphics and looks like a pretty good shooter. And I paid 12 euros for this. It's a bit more on the pricey side. I did get a discount because of the damaged label up here. It was a bit cheaper because of that. Then we have Thunder Spirits, and this game wasn't released in Europe. It was released, however, under a different name. It's also known as Thunder Force 3, and it was released on the Mega Drive under that name. But I think there are some differences with the Super Nintendo version. And this is a side-scrolling space shooter, and looks like a pretty decent one at that. And I paid 6 euros for this. And then we have a game that I used to play a lot on the arcades as a kid. I used to play this at local shopping mall, and my favorite character to play in this game was Haggard, the guy you can see on the right side here on the cover. Final Fight is one of my favorite beat-em-ups, maybe because of the nostalgia, but it's definitely a good game, and one to pick up. And this one was only 6 euros, definitely a lot more expensive if you want the European copy. I'm not sure though if it's possible to play 2 players on this Super Nintendo port. It might be that you can only play 1 player, but still, tight controls, beautiful graphics, one of the best beat-em-ups on the system, in my opinion. And then we have the cheapest game of the lot, and that's Phantom 2040. And this game was also released in Europe, and it was released on different platforms, also on the Mega Drive and the GameCube, on the Game Gear, sorry. And this game is based on a TV series that's based on the comic character of the Phantom. and apparently it plays a bit like Super Metroid, so I'm a bit curious to see if this is really a good game or not. Anyway, I paid just €3 for it, so I decided to pick it up and give it a try. If I don't like it, I can always sell it again. And then we have Super Valis 4, and this is a series actually from the TurboGrafx, ported from the TurboGrafx here onto the Super Nintendo. This was never released in Europe, and it's a nice side-scrolling action platformer. Supposedly the TurboGrafx version is the better one to play though, and this was a bit more on the pricey side as well. I paid €12 for this. King of Dragons is the only game in this lot that would not work on my Super Nintendo, my PAL SNES, which is unfortunate because it looks like maybe the best game of all of them. It was certainly the most expensive, with costing almost 300 crowns, which is like 34 euros. But looking at gameplay videos on YouTube, looks like it would be worth that price, but unfortunately I'm gonna have to trade this back and get my money back on this one. Yeah, by the way, it's a really nice two-player beat 'em up, fantasy beat 'em up. Super Smash TV is a game that has eluded me for years. It was released in PAL territories, both on the SNES, the Master System and the Mega Drive. Maybe the Game Gear as well, I'm not sure, but I've never been able to find it, and I've always wanted to play it, so when this guy was selling this game for €9, I decided to give it a go. And it's basically like that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Running Man, based on a Stephen King book, where you're the contestant in this very violent game show, and you have to fight for survival and points. And it's a really arcadey, top-down shoot-'em-up that you can play co-op with a friend, and looks like a lot of fun, and looking forward to try this out with a friend sometime soon. Finally, for the American Super Nintendo games, we have Magic Sword, and this was also released in PAL as well, a lot cheaper in the US format, as is with many titles. I paid €10 for this, and this is fantasy beat-'em up game, and I think it's ported from the arcades, and I think also on the arcades it was possible to play two-player, while on the SNES I think you can only play one player, but still looks like a good title, so maybe not as good as King of Dragons, but hey. I love beat 'em ups, so I always want to pick up some more beat 'em ups for my collection. And then for the NES games, I picked up one NTSC game here, Bionic Commando, and I paid €5. And this is a game, well, it was released in PAL version as well. I just haven't been able to track one down for a decent price yet, and this is a game that I have been looking for quite actively for PAL, because it's a very nostalgic game to me. I used to rent this at the local video store with a good friend of mine when I was a kid, and I remember being kind of confused and frustrated with the inability to jump, which was very unusual at the time, and I suppose still is when it comes to platformers. Basically, to get from one platform to the other, you had to use your mechanical arm, which was a bit tricky, but as soon as you got used to it, it made a lot of sense. Really good soundtrack, and yeah, I think it's a really good game, although I can't say for sure because I haven't played it since I was a teenager, but very happy to give this a try again and see how it plays now that I'm older. And then we have come to the European exclusive game, the soundtrack of which you are hearing in the background. And this is based, I think it's based on a comic, French comic, and it's published by Ocean. I think it was made by Ocean as well. And this is the French version of that as well. This is The Legend of Prince Valiant, and that is a side-scrolling action game. Doesn't look all that great, but I'm going for a complete NES collection, and this is a game that doesn't show up very often. It's only like 2 copies for sale on eBay, so decided to snag it up now when I have the chance. And I paid €9 for this, which I think is a good price for this game. That goes up to, I think, around 15-20 euros on eBay, so I'm quite happy with that find. Then finally, for this collection video, we have another PAL game, Uncommon, like Prince Valiant, an Uncommon title, and one of the most difficult NES games there is, and a really good one at that. And that's Shadow Warriors 2, also known as Ninja Gaiden 2 in the US. And this is a side-scrolling platformer ninja game, obviously, and a game that a lot of people hold in high regards. A really good title, and quite a pricey one to get on eBay. Goes for around 30 euros, and I got this for around 23 euros. So it's a bit cheaper, and I saved the shipping as well, so that's always nice. But a game that I'm very happy to pick up. I have the first title in the series, and I really like that one, although it's very, very hard, but definitely an enjoyable game. Really good soundtrack on this one as well. So now with these 2 PAL games, I now have 125 PAL NES games out of the 376 that have been released here. So slowly but surely moving towards my goal of a complete PAL NES collection. I'm in no hurry to finish my collection, though. I'm doing it slow and picking up titles as I find them for a good price. Yeah, the NES is definitely my main focus as a retro video game collector. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and until next time.